This is the Cadaver Synod on True Oddities podcast. In the fading years of the 9th century, Rome was a city of crumbling marble, political intrigue, and violent power struggles. The papacy had become a prize fought over by noble families, emperors, and rival bishops. Popes rose and fell with shocking speed, some reigning only weeks or months before assassination, poisoning, or deposition. It was into this chaotic world that Pope Formosus entered the stage. Formosus was born around 816 in Rome. He rose through the ranks as a skilled diplomat and missionary. Sent to Bulgaria to convert the people, he served as Bishop of Porto. He was respected for his intelligence and integrity, yet he also made powerful enemies. In 876, under Pope John VIII, he was accused of plotting against the Pope, excommunicated, and forced into exile. Later pardoned, he returned and in October 891 was elected Pope himself. Formosus inherited a fractured church and a politically unstable Italy. The Holy Roman Empire was divided. He crowned Arnulf of Carinthia as emperor in an attempt to break the influence of the powerful dukes of Spoleto. But Arnulf fell ill and retreated. Formosus died on April 4th, 896, after a reign of just over 4 years. He was buried with full papal honors in St. Peter's Basilica. 7 months later, in January 897, something unimaginable occurred. The new pope, Stephen VI, a man deeply entangled in the rivalries of the Spoletan faction and personal hatred toward Formosus, ordered the unthinkable. He commanded that the body of Formosus, dead for 9 months, be exhumed from its tomb. The corpse, already decomposing, was dragged from the grave, dressed in the full papal vestments and tiara, and propped upright on the papal throne in the Basilica of St. John Lateran. A deacon was appointed to sit beside the rotting body and speak in its defense, or rather, to mouth answers on its behalf. Stephen VI himself presided as judge and prosecutor. The synod, later known as the Cadaver Synod or Synodus Horrenda, began its grim proceedings. The charges were read aloud in the candlelit hall before shocked clergy and onlookers. Formosus was accused of perjury, breaking sacred oaths. He was charged with violating canon law by moving from one bishopric, Porto, to the See of Rome, something strictly forbidden at the time. He was also accused of illegally coveting the papacy while still a bishop and serving multiple dioceses. Stephen VI raged at the silent corpse, shouting questions and accusations. The deacon gave feeble, scripted replies. The stench of decay filled the basilica. Witnesses later described the horror of seeing the dead pope's blackened, swollen face under the papal crown, his lifeless eyes staring blankly as his successor hurled insults. After a short, one-sided trial, the verdict was inevitable, guilty on all counts. Formosus's papacy was declared null and void. All his ordinations, appointments, and acts as pope were invalidated. Thousands of priests and bishops suddenly stripped of their positions in one stroke. Chaos rippled through the church. The punishment was savage. The papal robes were ripped from the corpse. It was dressed in the rags of a common layman. 3 fingers of the right hand, the fingers used for blessings and consecrations, were chopped off and thrown aside. The body was then dragged through the streets of Rome and tossed into the Tiber River like garbage. But the story did not end there. Public outrage grew. The macabre spectacle turned opinion against Stephen VI. Rumors spread that the body of Formosus had washed ashore on the Tiber banks and was performing miracles, drawing crowds of the faithful. A popular uprising soon erupted. Stephen was deposed, imprisoned, and in July or August 897 he was strangled to death in his cell. The next pope, Theodore II, reigned only 20 days but acted swiftly. He convened a synod that annulled the Cadaver Synod, rehabilitated Formosus, and ordered his body recovered from the river and reburied with full honors in St. Peter's Basilica, dressed once more in pontifical vestments. Pope John IX continued the reversal in 898. He burned the records of the Cadaver Synod, excommunicated several cardinals who had supported Stephen, and decreed that no corpse should ever be put on trial again. The entire episode exposed the depths of political corruption and personal vendetta that had infected the highest levels of the Church during the so-called Saculum Obscurum, the Dark Age of the papacy. It became one of the most grotesque and unforgettable oddities in religious history. A dead man tried, convicted, mutilated, and dumped in a river, all because the living could not let go of their hatred. As the waters of the Tiber close over the floating corpse one final time and the echoes of that horrific trial fade from the basilica walls, we close this dark chapter of True Oddities. That's episode 5, the Cadaver Synod of 897. Next time, we explore Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, the plane that vanished in 2014 with 239 people never found. Subscribe, rate the show, and I'll see you in the next bizarre but true tale. Stay odd.